Hi everybody, it's Benty Hansen with Embracing Unity, and I feel that today I'd like to talk a little bit about the shift from 3D to 5D. Now, this is what a lot of people have been talking about for quite a while, and yet I'm finding that there's a lot of confusion, a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of questioning around it. So given the experience that I've had with energy and frequency and vibration, as well as the amount of client work that I've done over the years, I felt that it was time to actually sit down and talk more about what symptoms you're likely to experience, and also what they mean, where I can possibly do it. So let's get right back to what's happening. Most of you are aware that the Schumann resonance is increasing in its frequency. And normally the Schumann resonance for decades sat around 7.8, 8.3. It's had spikes up to 171, which is pretty high, let me tell you. But the Schumann resonance measures the pulse of the earth. And the pulse of the earth ultimately is what we are meant to be an equal match with. So as the pulse of the earth increases, our own frequency is also increasing to be in alignment with that. Now, from what I understand, when we get to this magical 5D and beyond, that, believe me, it's not going to stop at 5D. And 5D is a state of consciousness, it's a state of being. So when we get to 5D roughly, it's anticipated that the Schumann resonance will be stabilized at around 200 gigahertz. Still got some ways to go. So what do you think that's doing to us, to you and to me? What do you think are the effects, the impact? And what does it mean for the changes in our lives? So I'm going to start off by saying not everyone is going to be feeling the same things. Not everybody is going to be reacting the same way. And what happens to you during this shift as our planet Gaia is birthing a new earth is that what happens to you is determined by what your soul has decided and has put in place. And it's in your soul plan, okay? Now, there are some souls who are very fortunate and who will seem as though they're skating through this quite effortlessly. They actually have a role to play, and their role is to bring in the light, bring in the love, and to be the ones who seem to be unscathed by the shifts. But they also have other roles to fulfill. For some of us, we are literally shedding lifetimes of pain. And this is what the process is about. It's about shedding old pain, old trauma from eons, generations and lifetimes. So some of the things that a soul may choose to do means that it could be a really rough ride for some individuals. Contrary to what we may have been led to believe, there are souls on this planet that have lived thousands and thousands of lifetimes. And if your soul is one of those, and it has made the decision prior to birth that this lifetime is going to completely clear the slate, then more than likely it's going to be a fairly rough ride. And when I encounter that sort of situation, what it tells me is that the soul is determined to finish. This is it. They're not coming back. They will have done their cycle of lifetimes on this planet and they are moving on. Then there are souls who have come in to clear a lot of their lifetime trauma, pain, memory, but not all of it. There are those who have chosen to come in to their body to release all of the ancestral pain going through many generations. And other souls, I don't know if they're wise or foolish in doing this, have come in and decided they're going to help Earth shed the pain that she's taken on for humanity. So some of this is a fairly big task. However, because this is such a steady process, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a year. It's a very steady process. The shift from the lower frequency to the high frequency. So that there may be discomfort and even pain felt over a fairly lengthy period. One of the things that I've learned very strongly is that this type of pain is energetic. It has its basis in energy memory, and it is not physical. And by this I mean, for example, you may wake up one day and have a headache and then a pain in the shoulder and in your arm and, in your lower back. In other words, the pain and the aches keep moving. They absolutely do. It's only when there is a persistent pain in any one part of the body that it's time to seriously look at what's going on. And that may mean a visit to a medical practitioner or a therapist of some kind. Okay? But there is a difference. The energetic pain does not remain localized. Okay? So that's a big clue. What I do is I just close my eyes and I mentally ask, is this physical? And my body will tell me yes or no. And then I go, is this energetic? And believe you me, every time I have asked, it's been energetic. Even on the occasions where there is a physical manifestation in somewhere in my body, it's due to an energetic memory of some pain or trauma that's been released. And as I remind myself, this too shall pass. Okay? So, we are now right at the crux of things. The Great Awakening is definitely happening, and there's going to be a lot more uncertainty and pain for some people. The first place to always start is with yourself, rather than worrying about what's happening in the world. What's happening within you, and doing whatever you can to find your own center of balance and to find that calm space within. Because when you find that calm space, it's much easier to observe what's happening elsewhere without becoming embroiled in it. So I'm going to just share some of the symptoms, quite a few. I've got quite a few that I'd like to share with you, and hopefully I can reassure you that this too shall pass, okay? About 13 years ago, I became what it felt like. I felt I was getting ill for several days with severe vertigo. And at that time, I kept asking, is this physical? And my body kept saying no. Is it energetic? Yes. After a while, my next question, which was, what's going on, was finally answered. And what I've come to learn from that is it's very, very common to go through some dizzy spells. It may even appear to be quite severe vertigo. But what's actually happening is that due to the frequency shifts in your body, your blood is thinning. Now, if you are, I'd say, 40 years old and above, you're more than likely to have this happen to you. Because under the 3D conditions, it's very normal for the physical body to experience a thickening of the blood, which is why doctors recommend taking half an aspirin a day to thin the blood. But with the frequency shift happening, the blood is thinning. It's really good. It's great because what it does, it keeps your body more youthful for much longer. And what I've come to realize is that every time my own body goes through a significant frequency shift, I get a bit woozy for a few days. Nowhere near as severe as the first time, but the first time it was quite disturbing. Okay, so I hope that can help some of you feel a little bit better about any sort of dizziness that you've experienced. So I'm going to go through this list that I have here, so please excuse me for reading them, but it's important that I actually cover them thoroughly. Okay. First one, of course, is aches and pains. Anywhere and everywhere in the body where you've experienced a trauma in this lifetime or another lifetime, the memory of that trauma will most likely reappear. And as it reappears, don't treat it as though it's a new pain. Just release it. Let it go. Okay. Headaches are very, very common because there are now neural pathways that are opening up within you. Now, I'm just going to digress from the symptoms just for a moment to talk a little bit about those neural pathways and the DNA activation, which is a big part of this. Our DNA is changing because of this shift in consciousness and frequency. And we are going to, as many of you are aware, we're going to more than 2 strands of DNA. But as well as that, the junk DNA is being activated within us. And that junk DNA changes the composition of the cells, and it also opens up new neural pathways, new ways of sensing and feeling things. It means that we are able then to see more than the narrow band and hear more than the narrow bandwidth that previously was available to us. And so that, of course, means having, maybe out-of-body experiences or going into multidimensional places, playing with timelines, all of that sort of thing. A lot of psychic abilities opening up. So, part of the process, of course, is having those things shift, and the physical aspect of yourself has to accommodate it. So you may have headaches. Nausea, oh yes, don't you just love the nausea? But your whole body's system structure is changing because of this. The ringing in the ears, yes. It just means that, you're shifting. Throat irritation, needing to clear your throat more often. And for a lot of people, we've held on to unexpressed emotions where we've not felt safe speaking our truth. So if you actually find that you're clearing your throat and you're coughing up a lot, that's possibly what you're doing. You're actually clearing an old energy of unexpressed emotion. Anxiety and heart palpitations. Oh, there's nothing quite like it, is there? Lying there in bed at night and feeling the heart going thump, 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 and wondering what to do about it. It's okay. It's just readjusting. It's being recalibrated, okay? Blurred vision, tired eyes. Oh, yeah. That's one of my symptoms, and I seem to get it a lot, particularly when there's a minor shift. I can feel my vision blurring, and I don't wear glasses. I have good vision day and night. Now I could talk about eyesight and emotions, but that's another day. As well as that, the heightened senses. And here I mean the acute sense of smell, hearing, taste, and sight. All of those things become more acute. And it's a little bit frightening when it first happens, but it will settle down okay. There's also fatigue, trouble sleeping, or needing more sleep. And along with that, you may have some incredibly vivid and intense dreams. In most instances, not all, but in many of those instances, you'll find that it is your subconscious that is releasing old memory. And it's very easy for us to get hung up on a dream and look for a meaning or an interpretation. Don't spend too much time doing it because there's so much old memory that is just releasing, which means that you're getting a real mishmash of different lifetimes, okay? As well as that, there may be an intolerance for certain foods or even a reduction in your appetite. And I'm finding that the more I do this inner work, which I've been on this journey for more than 30 years, is that my whole food lifestyle has changed dramatically. And my food has to be clean, it has to be green, very nutritious. Forget the processed refined foods. It's been years since I've eaten junk food. My body cannot tolerate it. And so don't be surprised if your food tastes do change. One of the things I have found with clients is that they often go off animal products, particularly meat. And I've even had clients say to me that they can taste the fear in the animal as they're eating it. Yeah, it's enough to turn you off, let me tell you. Other symptoms include shortness of breath, yawning, burping, that sort of thing. Excessive thirst. Oh yeah. Please make sure you remain well hydrated and that the water that you drink is clean water with a minimum amount of, chemicals and things like that in them. It's really, really important. So those are the main things. There might be some digestive issues along with the nausea. But the beautiful thing about all of this is it's bringing us into a state of a new consciousness. And with that, we're going, it's about operating from the heart rather than the mental mind state all the time. And one of the most interesting symptoms that I find is what appears to be memory loss. You're searching for a word or to bring to your consciousness an experience and you cannot remember all the details. And it happens again and again and again. It doesn't matter what age you are. When you live in the moment, you forget things because you don't need to bring all of that, your knowledge, to the surface all of the time. You don't lose things. You don't have memory loss. You don't have Alzheimer's or any such thing. What it is that when you are fully present in the moment, which is one of the beautiful aspects of this 5D consciousness state, when you are fully in the moment, your mind is empty. And the gift in that is manyfold. There's less stress in your body. You're not running on adrenaline or fear or anxiety. You have a calmness within, which means health-wise it's good. But on top of that, you know that anything that is meant to happen does happen because your higher wisdom, not your subconscious, not your mind, but your higher wisdom is then able to be heard. And you will find that there's a greater ease and flow in life. That is the biggest gift from my perspective or my understanding, is that we get to live in the moment. And we just either hear an inner voice speaking, or there's an inner knowing that surfaces very loudly and very clearly. So let me give you an example of how this would work. You know on some level, for example, that you need to get another car. Your old one, it's time to rest the poor dear, okay? So you know it's time to get a new car. Normally when you operate out of the mental state or the mind state, you spend a lot of time looking at a lot of cars, looking at all the statistics, the reliability factors, and it's a real research project. But when you live in the moment, you just put out for it. And it's weird, it comes. Someone will say something to you. They know someone who's going overseas or whatever it may be, and they need to sell their car. And the car is just absolutely what you need. That's how easy it becomes once you are in this higher level of consciousness. There is a flow and grace to every moment of every day. So in the meantime, I encourage you to be patient with this process. Be patient with yourself and your body, because your higher wisdom, your soul plan, knows what's going on. It's charging ahead regardless of what you may be thinking or feeling, and it knows that this is the most exciting time to be alive. And it's absolutely chomping at the bit to get into that space of higher awareness and consciousness and being part of the awakening and seeing the new earth emerge. So that's about it for today. Yeah, by all means, feel free to contact me. I will leave some contact information if you need to, go any further with things. My email is bhansen, Hansen, 9 @yahoo.com. Okay, take care and have a beautiful day.